X Factor is awful. Do you know what they, when they did the X Factor, they shot it, the early bits of it at the Hackney Empire in order to cash in on what we were doing. I mean, that is the most naff show. I feel so sorry for human beings having to watch it around the world. Apparently, America now has Simon Cowell, and worse than that, Piers Morgan. Actually doesn't know anything about anything, and who do they fucking know, and what do they like, and why do they even care what they think? No, New Act of the Year is about real people performing on stage and being funny. Now what we try to do is encourage them to use their original thoughts, the ideas that are there, the things that they've been thinking about that are funny, that make other people laugh. What happens though is people learn that what they think people will think is funny. And that's why in the olden days people used to tell jokes all the time, because it was sort of established those jokes would work. But they don't now, do they? What you really want to do is find somebody that takes you along with their imagination, and you go along with it and you think, aha, and you laugh. And Russell Brand was a classic one. He came along and, you know, he was very uncertain about himself and unsure, and did sort of jokes about skateboarding on phlegm through Finsbury Park, you know. But you thought, oh, okay, why not? Now, the guy is so funny, and you can see that he's capable of actually bringing his imagination to the fore and being funny. Now, can you imagine Simon Cowell and that Keith are looking at Russell Brand? No way, they want somebody that's totally safe. And so many acts are like that. And now there's a whole big industry of comedy and acts and quirky people. And we're talking about Nina Conti the other day, weren't we? You know, and all of a sudden you find yourself watching her hand and believing her hand, and you know that it's not the monkey anymore or whatever, but you're watching her hand. And imagine that. And of course they couldn't have had that on that show either. So the difference between New Act of the Year or New Variety is that we're looking for the progressive development of variety. Anything can work, and you can say anything, you can be as rude as you like, as long as you know what you're doing, you can get away with it. You can be offensive, but be careful, and you know, you can say what you, and you should be able to say anything. You should be able to talk. In my life, when the first thing when I was a kid, people said, oh, well, you mustn't do it, talk about religion and politics. That's it, I'll talk about religion. Fuck it, if you're not allowed to talk about it, I'm going to talk about it, because that's going to be funny, because why are they all so hung up about it, you know? New Act of the Year has been going, well, it's been going since the early 80s. And we auditioned everyone, from Harry Enfield, Julian Clary, Paul Merton, you know, until the latest comedians, Ardal O'Hanlon. I remember Ardal O'Hanlon, who was in Father Ted, arriving from Ireland, and nobody had ever heard of him, you know. He won the competition that year. You know, because he's so good. Brilliant. Also, it doesn't have to be stand-ups. It could be people who do Men in Coats were a very famous actor. You ever seen them? They are so clever. They won New Act of the Year. I would say that 70% of all the acts that are now touring Britain, one way or another, went through New Act of the Year. Simon Pegg was on there recently, as Ronnie Ancona, and endless names. And what they feel good about is that, first of all, we do it in a very small pub, and then they get this experience and bring their 2 years of previous experience onto the stage, and then they get to play the Hackney Empire, where Charlie Chaplin played, and it's a fucking big theatre where you really have to reach out to an audience, and it's really focused, and it's a great experience. And what always pleases me is how well the acts actually do. They can do it. It's in their imagination now. They can go from a small pub into a major theatre, and I don't know how they were able to do that, because when we first started with the Hackney Empire, we'd introduce new acts, and they'd come on. I remember Arnold Brown, a very, very famous comedian, would come on with his pint of beer, put the pint of beer down, and look at the first row, because he was only used to playing small clubs. You know, lots of black comedians have made it there, lots of Asian comedians have made it there, women comedians are making it there. You know, and it's very, if you're an Asian comedian, or you know, look at Omid Jahili, comes on being an Iranian, you know, and everyone's supposed to be hating Iranians. But comedy allows you to come on and be the opposite to all of that. Which, just to switch back to the safe, what's it called?
X Factor.
X Factor, or whatever it is. Britain is talented. They're censoring all that out of it. And worst thing is, they've got hold of this word variety again. And they're using it like they're the people who mean it. Of course, they're the ones that killed it in the first place, people like that. Variety is about, well, the original word would be turns. People doing turns in pubs and small theatres and clubs and music halls all around Britain at one time. It's so important that it's played at the Hackney Empire, because it's Charlie Chaplin played there, and Laurel and Hardy, and everybody that ever, and now everybody that's Tony Hancock, and now the next generation's come along and played that too. So there's a strong line of varied variety entertainers playing the Empire and making the latest phenomena of comedy or work, and that's really exciting. So we have to do it. What we want to do now is get it sort of help it get focused into more of an audience than we ever had, wider than London, all through it. Although I must say, acts have come from all over the world. A German act won the New Act of the Year about 3 years ago. Yeah. So, but this would make it accessible. To us, it's not winning that matters, it's actually going through the experience of playing to audiences, playing in a major big theatre. If you win, lucky, you don't win any money.
Right.
All you just win is a prize. Of course, you work all the rest of your life then.
Right. Yeah.
To say, as I was saying, you only play the Hackney Empire on the way up and on the way down.
That is the legend that is Sid.
Sid the legend. Now this is a new act of the year. If entertainers could do Well done, that's it.
That's it. Over now.
Yeah.